Did you know that while the rest of the world was still struggling to illuminate the darkness with flickering gas lamps and primitive direct current, one man was already visualizing a planet connected by an invisible web of energy, vibration, and frequency? Nikola Tesla did not merely inhabit the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He existed in a mental landscape that the rest of humanity is only now, 100 years later, beginning to traverse. To understand Tesla is to move beyond the physical constraints of wires and pulleys and to enter a realm where the entire universe is viewed as a symphony of oscillations. He saw the cosmos not as a collection of disparate objects, but as a singular living engine powered by the very forces that govern the stars. When one examines the sheer scale of his foresight, it becomes clear that he was not just an inventor, but a cosmic architect who attempted to translate the fundamental laws of the universe into a language that mankind could utilize. His mind functioned like a sophisticated laboratory where complex mechanical blueprints were constructed, tested, and refined with such precision that he rarely needed to put pen to paper until the final design was perfected. This internal visualization was so vivid that he could run a motor in his mind for weeks and then examine it for signs of wear, a capability that borders on the supernatural by modern standards. Most of Nikola Tesla's inventions were born from this radical departure from traditional Newtonian physics. While his contemporaries were preoccupied with the immediate commercial applications of electricity, Tesla was obsessed with the underlying mechanics of existence. He famously stated that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This was not mere poetic musing, it was a rigorous scientific framework. He understood that every atom, every cell, and every celestial body possesses a resonant frequency. By tapping into these natural resonances, he believed humanity could achieve feats that were previously dismissed as magic. This philosophy led him to the development of alternating current, a system that fundamentally changed the trajectory of human civilization. Yet, for Tesla, the AC motor was just the beginning. He saw it as a proof of concept for a much grander reality, the idea that energy is omnipresent and that the Earth itself is a giant conductor capable of transmitting power and information across vast distances without the need for a single mile of copper wire. Imagine this: you are standing in a world where energy is as free and accessible as the air you breathe. This was the vision Tesla pursued with obsessive dedication, culminating in the construction of the Wardenclyffe Tower. To the financiers of the time, it was a radio tower intended for transatlantic communication. To Tesla, it was a gateway to a new era of planetary resonance. He understood that the Earth has a specific pulse, later identified as the Schumann resonance, and he intended to use the planet's own electrical charge to provide light and power to every corner of the globe. You might feel a sense of loss contemplating what could have been, a world where the geopolitical conflicts over fossil fuels and the environmental degradation caused by primitive energy extraction were entirely bypassed. Tesla's work suggests that we are surrounded by a sea of energy, and our failure to harness it is not a lack of resources, but a lack of frequency alignment. His experiments with high-voltage, high-frequency currents through the Tesla coil were not just for theatrical sparks. They were attempts to peel back the veil of the physical world and interact directly with the luminiferous ether. As one delves deeper into the mechanical brilliance of this Serbian-American visionary, it becomes evident that his understanding of fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, and electromagnetism was integrated into a unified field theory long before the term became a staple of modern physics. He looked at the Great Pyramids of Giza and saw not tombs, but sophisticated energy transmitters, recognizing that the ancients might have understood the same vibrational laws he was rediscovering. This intersection of ancient wisdom and futuristic science is where Tesla truly resided. He was a man who spoke to the lightning and expected it to answer. His laboratory in Colorado Springs became a temple of artificial bolts, where he produced discharges of millions of volts, proving that the atmosphere itself could be made to glow. He was mapping the electrical circuitry of the atmosphere, realizing that the ionosphere could be utilized as a global power grid. This was not the work of a mad scientist, as the sensationalist press of his day often claimed, but the calculated observations of a man who perceived the mathematical harmony of the vacuum. The tragedy of Tesla's life was not his lack of genius, but the fact that he was operating in a socioeconomic system built on scarcity while he was a proponent of abundance. When you consider the patents he held, over 300 in total, it is staggering to realize how many of our modern conveniences rely on his foundations. Remote control, robotics, X-rays, neon lighting, and the very wireless technology you use to watch this today are all descendants of Tesla's singular intellect. He envisioned a world system that would allow for the instantaneous transmission of pictures, speech, and text, essentially predicting the internet and the smartphone nearly a century before their inception. He spoke of a brain for the world, a collective consciousness enabled by technology, where distance would be eliminated and humanity could operate as a single, cohesive organism. This level of precognition is rare in human history. It suggests that Tesla was not just reacting to the needs of his era, but was pulling information from a future that had not yet arrived. Tesla's personal life was as unconventional as his scientific theories, characterized by an ascetic devotion to his work that often bordered on the obsessive-compulsive. He lived in a world of numbers, specifically the numbers 3, 6, and 9, which he believed held the key to the universe's architectural blueprint. This was not mere superstition. It was a recognition of the mathematical patterns that appear in the geometry of nature and the harmonics of sound. He would circle a building 3 times before entering and insisted on using 18 napkins to clean his silverware, rituals that reflected a mind constantly seeking symmetry and order amidst the perceived chaos of the physical world. For Tesla, the human body was a self-propelled automaton, a biological machine responding to external stimuli and cosmic rays. This perspective allowed him to maintain a level of objectivity that shielded him from the distractions of traditional societal norms, though it often left him isolated and misunderstood by his peers. The depth of his analysis regarding the nature of matter and spirit often blurred the lines between physics and metaphysics. He believed that the mind was a receiver, tuned to a central core in the universe from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. He did not claim to be the creator of his ideas, but rather a witness to them. This humility, combined with his fierce intellectual arrogance toward those who prioritized profit over progress, created a complex archetype of the martyred scientist. While Thomas Edison represented the pragmatic, iterative approach to invention, Tesla represented the sudden, revelatory spark of pure creation. He was the architect of the invisible, designing systems that governed the movement of electrons and the oscillation of waves. His work on the death ray, or teleforce, often shrouded in conspiracy and mystery, was actually an extension of his belief in the power of concentrated energy beams, a precursor to modern laser and particle beam technology. He sought to create a weapon so powerful that it would render war impossible, an idealistic hope that once again placed him at odds with a world that was not yet ready for such responsibility. To grasp the full magnitude of Tesla's foresight, one must analyze his fascination with the concept of the ether, a medium he believed permeated all of space and served as the carrier for electromagnetic manifestations. While the Michelson-Morley experiment led the mainstream scientific community to abandon the ether in favor of Einstein's relativity, Tesla remained a staunch critic of the curvature of space. He argued that space could not be curved because it had no properties, famously stating that if a body acts upon its surroundings, the behavior is due to the force field, not the geometry of the void. This divergence in thought highlights how Tesla was operating on a different frequency than his contemporaries. He viewed the vacuum as a reservoir of infinite potential energy, a concept that modern quantum field theory now explores through zero-point energy. When you look at the modern pursuit of sustainable, clean energy, you are essentially watching the world attempt to catch up to the calculations Tesla made in his hotel room decades ago. He understood that the burning of coal and oil was a barbarous method of energy production, a crime against the future that ignored the elegant rhythmic power available in the rotation of the Earth and the radiation of the Sun. His exploration into the mechanical resonance of physical objects provides a chilling yet fascinating glimpse into his mastery over vibration. There is a well-documented account of Tesla attaching a small electromechanical oscillator to a pillar in his Manhattan laboratory. By tuning the device to the specific resonant frequency of the building's steel structure, he nearly brought the entire skyscraper down, creating an artificial earthquake that sent local police rushing to the scene. This was not a pursuit of destruction, but a demonstration of the law of squared echoes. Tesla realized that a small amount of energy, applied at the correct intervals, could accumulate into a force of staggering proportions. This principle is what allows a singer to shatter glass or a bridge to collapse under the rhythmic marching of soldiers. Tesla's genius lay in his ability to scale this concept from a single room to the entire planet. He theorized that by sending timed impulses into the Earth's crust, he could trigger telegeodynamic effects, effectively mapping the interior of the globe or even generating power from the core's internal heat. You might find it difficult to reconcile the image of a man feeding pigeons in Bryant Park with the scientist who designed the first hydroelectric power plant at Niagara Falls. Yet, these two versions of Tesla are inextricably linked by his profound empathy for all life forms and his belief that the universe is a singular interconnected organism. His work with radiant energy, energy that moves through space as longitudinal waves rather than transverse waves, remains one of the most debated and misunderstood aspects of his legacy. He claimed to have discovered a form of light that could penetrate any substance and travel faster than the speed of light. While many dismiss these claims, modern research into scalar waves and non-Hertzian physics suggests that Tesla may have been tapping into a layer of reality that traditional instruments are only now becoming sensitive enough to detect. He was playing a game of cosmic billiards, using the atmosphere and the Earth as his table, while others were still trying to understand the rules of the cue. Furthermore, Tesla's contributions to the field of automation and artificial intelligence were decades ahead of the first digital computer. In 1898, he demonstrated a radio-controlled boat at Madison Square Garden, an invention he called a teleautomaton. The crowd was so bewildered that they accused him of hiding a trained monkey inside the hull. They could not conceive of a machine that could think or respond to invisible commands. Tesla, however, saw this as the birth of a new race of mechanical servants that would eventually liberate humanity from drudgery. He predicted that machines would one day possess their own minds, capable of making decisions based on environmental feedback. This was the blueprint for modern robotics and the foundation of the drone technology that currently dominates modern warfare and logistics. He was not just building gadgets. He was defining the relationship between man and machine, warning that unless we aligned our technological progress with moral evolution, we would become victims of our own ingenuity. As we analyze the final years of his life, a period often characterized by poverty and isolation, we see a man who had transcended the need for material validation. He lived in a succession of New York hotels, his mind still racing with designs for thought photography and interplanetary communication. He believed that we were not alone in the universe and claimed to have intercepted rhythmic signals from Mars or Venus while at his Colorado Springs station. While his peers mocked him, Tesla's assertion that the universe is teeming with information-carrying waves is now the basis for SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. He understood that the limitation was not the distance between the stars, but the frequency of our reception. He was a man who lived in the eternal now, where the past, present, and future were all visible through the lens of mathematical certainty. The legacy of Nikola Tesla is not found in the monuments built in his honor, but in the very fabric of our digitized, electrified world. Every time you flip a switch, use a wireless network, or look at a satellite image, you are interacting with the ghost of Tesla's intellect. He was the ultimate disruptor, a figure whose radical commitment to the truth of the natural world made him an outcast in a society driven by the artificial constructs of debt and patent law. He gave away his royalties for AC power to save the Westinghouse Electric Company, choosing the progress of the human race over personal wealth, a gesture that is almost unthinkable in today's hyper-capitalistic landscape. He was the patron saint of the ahead-of-his-time archetype, a reminder that the greatest truths are often the ones that the current generation is most determined to ignore. His life was a testament to the power of the human spirit to resonate with the divine mechanics of the cosmos. What would be the thermodynamic consequence of a civilization that finally masters the extraction of energy from the zero-point field, and would the resulting entropic shift lead to a state of localized thermal equilibrium or a systemic destabilization of the planetary resonant frequency? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.